Hello everyone, this video is all about the measures of central tendency. What is a central tendency? When we have a large data set, we try to get an idea about the data set. Suppose I am regularly taking online classes and somebody asked me, hey, what is the average attendance of your class? So rather than telling individual student, the student number 1 is having 40%, student number 2 is 90%, student number 3 is 100% attendance, I can give an average. So average is a very common measures of central tendency. So let's understand a little bit in details. Central tendency is nothing but the data where it is centrally located or where is the concentration of data. It gives a very basic idea about how the data is located in a central locations. So what are the different measures of central tendency? The first one, as we started with the example, which is nothing but the average or mean or arithmetic mean. The formula for calculating the arithmetic mean is sum of all the values divided by the total number of observations. This is a very common thing which we have done from our childhood. So now you can ask me a question. If we have such an easy measurement of the central tendency, why do we need to know some other methods of measuring central tendency? The answer is it is affected by the extreme values. Now let's understand what is the meaning of extreme values. Suppose I have 10 students and I have collected their marks for statistics. Now almost 8 students, they have secured marks in the range of 60 to 70. So obviously we are expecting an average or the mean as in the range of 60 to 70. Now suppose the last 2 students, they have secured 100 on 100. So what will happen? The average will automatically go above 70, which is not actually the correct picture. So in this type of situations, we go for another measure of central tendency, which is a median. Median is nothing but the middle value when we arrange the data in the ascending or in a descending order. So median is nothing but a value which divides the data into two equal parts. 50% of the values will be below median and 50% of the value will be above median. Many situations, median is more applicable to measure the central tendency. Let's take an example. Suppose somebody is asking you, what is the average salary for this position in a particular company? So if you take the salary of all these people, there might be some of them are very top level management, some of them may not be, some of them are junior executive, and if you take the average, it may not give you the actual figure. Rather than if we just collect the data of all the employees in that particular category and arrange them in smaller to larger, and we can find out the middlemost value, which is nothing but the median. There is another measure of central tendency which is called the mode. Mode is the most frequent value or most common value. Let's take an example. Suppose I am an ice cream seller and I want to stock my inventory. So without knowing even any measure of central tendency, I might be keeping the flavor which is sold maximum in the last month. Suppose it is strawberry. So definitely I'll keep the strawberry flavor to a large amount, because I know that without even knowing more, without even knowing any basic concept of central tendency, I know this I should keep as a businessman. So mode gives you the idea about the most common value. Median and mode, they are not affected by the extreme values. Now, why do we need three different types of measurements? Means are very easy, as I already told you, and we have done from our childhood. But in extreme situations, they may not be the correct measure of central tendency. Median in some of the cases is more applicable, whereas mode is applicable when the data is repetitive in nature. Now, to calculate the arithmetic mean, the formula is x bar is equal to summation of xi divided by n. So, summation of xi is nothing but sum of all the observations, and n is the number of observations. X bar is used to denote the arithmetic mean. So arithmetic mean is more applicable for the continuous data like height of the people, the marks of the students, or maybe the income of the people. And as I already mentioned, it is seriously affected by the extreme values called outliers. Let's see how to calculate the median. So median, you see, I have taken two examples where the first case, there are odd number of data, there are 9 data, and if you take the middle value, it's 9 plus n plus 1 by 12th item. So 9 plus 1 by 12th item, which is the 5th item. Now if I arrange the data from smaller to larger, you can see the middle value is, or the 5th item is 8. So my my median value is 8. That means 4 values are less than 8 and 4 values are above 8. So median is actually dividing the data into two equal parts, 50% below and 50% above. Let's talk about the second example. Here there are 10 number of cases or even number of cases. Again, to find the median, we have to find n plus 1 by 12th item. So which is coming 5.5th item. How do I find 5.5th item? I'll arrange the data from smaller to larger, and it will lie between the 5th and 6th item. So I'll take the 5th and 6th, which is 8 plus 9 divided by 2. So my median value will come 8.5. Again, taking the concept of median, we can see that 5 values are below 8.5 and 5 values are above 8.5. So the mode is, as I already told you, mode, if you have a data set and you will see any number, any particular observation is repeating, that will be the mode. Mode is very much useful for the nominal data. As I already given you the example. Sometimes there will be a single mode and sometimes there might be more than one mode. Let's see this example. There are 10 observations and I can see from the data that 0 is a number which is repeated 2 times. So mode is 0 here. Now there might be a situation where none of the cases are repetitive in nature. In that case, there will be no mode. Even there might be a situation where more than 2 mode can be there, or more than 1 mode can be there, which is called bimodal class or trimodal class. Now this diagram is giving you an idea how to calculate the mode through the histogram. I'm sure you have done in your unit 1 how to draw a histogram. So in the x-axis we are taking the class interval, and in the y-axis we are taking the frequency of each class. And you can see it, the mode should lie in the highest class, which is shown in the picture. From here we can calculate the mode. Now, to go for more details how to calculate mean, median and mode for a group frequency distribution, I will discuss in my next video. That's all. Thank you.